Today on Beyond the Vibe, we're talking about 5 songs that were taken to court over plagiarism. We're talking all about the rare cases where courts stepped in, lawsuits were filed, royalties changed hands, and history officially said this one kind of crossed the line. Or did it? Comment below with your personal thoughts. Coming in at number 5, it's Led Zeppelin with Stairway to Heaven. This is, of course, the big one. Stairway to Heaven, often called one of the greatest rock songs of all time, has been under scrutiny for decades. The accusation that its famous opening guitar lick was lifted from Taurus by the band Spirit. Jimmy Page had toured with Spirit in the late 60s. He owned their records, and the similarity is at times questionable. Some say it does sound like that, some say it doesn't. But the case did go to court in 2016. After years of appeal, Led Zeppelin ultimately won the lawsuit in 2020. Legally speaking, they're in the clear. But here is why the song was taken to court. There was apparently a case for there being a similarity with the guitar lick. The access to the song had been proven, and the case afterwards had reshaped how courts interpret musical copyright. Even though Zeppelin won, the trial forced musicians to reckon with a tough truth. You can't copyright vibes, but you can copyright specific melodic patterns. Coming in at number 4, it's Oasis with Shaker Maker. Shaker Maker was one of the band's earliest singles, released in 1994, right as Britpop was starting to explode. The problem? It sounds a lot like this.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with light to be somebody else and not now.
That song, I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing, was famously used in Coca-Cola commercials and written by the New Seekers. And Coca-Cola noticed. They sued Oasis for copyright infringement, and they won. The band was forced to pay a settlement, and the song's credibility took a hit right out of the gate. What makes this case especially funny is that Noel Gallagher later admitted he'd borrowed bits from all over the place and basically shrugged the whole thing off. Classic Oasis energy. This was proven to not just be subconscious inspiration, this was close enough that a multinational corporation said, yeah, no. Not happening. Coming in at number 3, it's the Beatles with Come Together. Yes, even the Beatles weren't immune. Come Together is one of their coolest, slinkiest songs. That bass line, that groove, that vibe. But Chuck Berry noticed something familiar. Specifically this line, "Here come old flat top," which comes straight from Berry's song, You Can't Catch Me. Chuck Berry sued John Lennon for copyright infringement. Instead of it going completely to court, Lennon settled, and the settlement was very Lennon. He agreed to record several Chuck Berry songs on his next album. That album became Rock and Roll, released in 1975. No money exchanged hands, just public acknowledgement and respect paid. This one's less about the melodies and more about the lyrics, but it's still a clear, admitted borrowing that crossed into more legal territory. Coming in at number 2, it's the Verve with Bittersweet Symphony. This might be the most brutal case on the list. It's instantly recognizable, emotionally massive, and everywhere when it came out. That sweeping string line, it's based on an orchestral version of the Rolling Stones' The Last Time. Now, here's where it gets messy. The Verve did license the sample, but the Rolling Stones publishers claimed they used more than they were allowed to. The result? Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were awarded 100% of the songwriting credit. Richard Ashcroft, who wrote the lyrics, the vocal melody and everything else, received 0 royalties for over 20 years. Let that sink in. One of the band's most defining songs of that generation, and the guys who wrote it made nothing. In 2019, Jagger and Richards finally signed the rights back over to Ashcroft, but for 2 decades, this was the most lopsided copyright ruling in modern rock. And coming in at number 1, it's George Harrison with My Sweet Lord. This is one of the most important plagiarism cases in rock history. George Harrison's My Sweet Lord was a massive hit, his first solo number 1 after the Beatles broke up, but listeners quickly noticed it sounded very similar to the 1963 girl group song, The Chiffons. He's So Fine. The Chiffons sued. George Harrison defended himself by saying he didn't intentionally copy the song, and the judge actually believed him. But here's the key phrase that changed everything: subconscious plagiarism. The court ruled that even if Harrison didn't mean to copy the melody, he still did, and he lost the case. This ruling set a huge precedent. Intent doesn't matter, similarity does. Harrison later joked that once the similarity was pointed out, he couldn't unhear it, which is something every musician secretly fears. So what's the takeaway here? Rock music is ultimately built on borrowing, but when borrowing turns into duplication, the law gets involved. Some artists paid money, some lost royalties, some walked away legally clean but permanently questioned, and every single one of these cases changed how music is written today. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments, which song do you think should have been on this list?